only takes one mistake to undo a lot of good. So it's really important to plan and execute your personalization really well.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Lauren Cox. Today I'm here with James Keeler, Chief Experience Officer at whiteGREY. James, welcome.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Pleasure to be here.
So whiteGREY is a really awesome agency and has a great reputation across Asia, Australia. So what sets whiteGREY apart?
There's three things we like to talk about. First of all, we're a collision of creativity and technology. Secondly, our philosophy of tension creates extraordinary. And thirdly, our model, which we call platform orchestration. I'll just explain each of those briefly. So being a collision of creativity and technology, we really embrace the importance of both disciplines. What does that mean in a practical sense? Well, our Chief Creative Officer has an equal voice to our Chief Technology Officer. Our Chief Strategy Officer has an equal voice to me, our Chief Experience Officer. And we're very entrepreneurial. We like to act like a startup. Last year, the WPP Australia president actually called us scrappy, gutsy. And we love that because it's true. We really try and innovate, try different things. So try that gutsy side of things, but also we'll fight to make them work. So that's the first part. The second part about tension creates extraordinary. I guess this is a belief that in life, in business, in marketing, finding and resolving the toughest tensions leads to the best outcomes. If you think about politics, the strength of an opposition often dictates how good a government is, as they have to work harder to resolve those tensions that exist. And then platform orchestration. We understand that there's value created by brands at multiple touch points and channels, but we believe that there's even more value created if you can orchestrate the consistent delivery of your brand across all of those touch points. It's really about delivering a great customer experience, but just as importantly, a consistent brand experience.
What does digital transformation look like to you and your clients in today's terms?
I think it's changed a little bit. We're seeing a shift. I think if we go back a few years, digital transformation was a lot about overhauling legacy systems, whereas nowadays, I think it's a lot more about focusing on the digital experiences we want to create and then finding the best ways to deliver them. So we've moved beyond a systems first view into the user first view. And I personally think that's fantastic. And we're able to do that because of the advancements in technology that have been made. It means we can focus a lot more on the best way to deliver the brand and the customer experience that we want. I think personalization is a part of that. So is immersive experiences, optimized conversion paths, content and interactive tools that help inform users.
So how would you describe some of the psychology behind web design and how that impacts the user experience in relation to that?
I think it all starts with knowing your audience and their behaviors, needs, and their pain points or their challenges. In many cases, I think people come to your website at different stages in their customer journey. So you need to be able to cater for multiple behaviors. Obviously, the quicker you can work out where they are in the customer journey, you're better. But you really have to cater for those multiple needs before you necessarily know the context about why somebody's visiting your site for today. And I think that's where there's a mix of art and science really in web design. The user flows, the information architecture, your navigation, your basic layouts provide a lot of the science. How do we make it easy for people to find what they want quickly or to do what they want quickly? And then the visual design, the animation, the colors, the typography provides the art. How do we connect with people emotionally? How do we tell the story we want to tell? And I think it's a combination of those two that really help to define the brand.
I love the art and science. We talk about that too here at WP Engine, so we love that. Do you have clients that are using WordPress in innovative or creative ways because it is both art and science in web development?
We do. There's a couple I'd love to talk about, actually. One of them is the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. They are a Kenyan-based wildlife conservation organisation. We're actually building a progressive web app for them at the moment. It's in beta testing, which is quite fantastic. It's going to allow them, their rangers, they've got anti-poaching rangers and vets and pilots who go out on patrol looking for problems with animals and the environment. And at the moment, they collect data on a notepad. So they don't really have data to work with in a live basis. Whereas Mammoth, as we're calling the progressive web app, Mammoth will let them collect that data in real time. It works on and offline through the progressive web app. The geolocation is really important because obviously where an incident happens is really important. So that innovative use of WP Engine and WordPress in that sense is allowing them really to start moving away from just protection into prevention, because it will give them the data in real time and let them plan tomorrow's where they're going tomorrow today, rather than at the moment they plan where they're going tomorrow 6 weeks ago. Second one is quite different. Melbourne and Olympic Parks, which for people from around the world probably don't know, Melbourne Olympic Parks is a series of sporting and entertainment venues. So it's where the Australian Open tennis is held every year, but it's also where a number of other sporting events are held and where a lot of major concerts and comedy shows are held. We have built a new website infrastructure for them using WP Engine. So we've used a common design system across a multi-site implementation of WP Engine. What it means is it's better digital guest experience, obviously much more modern architecture, it's flexible, it's scalable, but also from the content management side of things, from Melbourne Olympic Park side of things, it's far more efficient for them to manage. It's quicker, it's easier. All the pieces work the same across the different sites. So it's a much easier thing for them to manage, and it's freed up a lot of time so they can put more time into developing more engaging content rather than just the basic event content. But yeah, there are a couple of the examples of clients we've got doing some really great things with WP Engine.
They are inspiring, actually, like especially you work in, did you say Kenya?
Yeah, Kenya. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, love it, love it. When it comes to digital experience, how do you balance that brand attachment and customer loyalty, in those journeys, especially in relation to e-commerce? So we've talked a lot about on the brand side and brand awareness, but then on the e-commerce side of actually like conversion, where do you see that going?
I'm a big believer in human-centered design, as I've probably partially mentioned already, but I think it really starts with coming at things from the user's perspective. And if we're doing something that will genuinely help the user or make their life easier, or are we doing something to try and make more money from them? And I guess I personally believe that brand sits a layer above personalization. There's lots of factors that feed into your relationship with or your view of a brand. Personalization and customer experience is one of those things. But whether you want to associate yourself with a brand is more commonly driven by other factors as well, such as the brand purpose, how well the brand supports local communities, do you believe in the brand? And I think brand loyalty exists to an extent. You know, if I'm going to buy a new pair of shoes, I've probably got either a brand or a retail store I'm going to go to first. But I also think that personalized service can help build that loyalty. If I go and have a great experience, I'm more likely to go back to that same website, that same brand again. But it's also worth saying it only takes one mistake to undo a lot of good. So it's really important to plan and execute your personalization really well.
whiteGREY and WP Engine also worked with Volvo Australia on an implementation of headless. So how do you think the headless technology really helped from a content perspective?
Yeah, we love headless. And we use WP Engine as a second CMS for Volvo. So their sites manage globally and it's fairly inflexible. Unfortunately, there's a couple of tools that the global team couldn't deliver for the Australian market in a timely manner. So as you say, we've used a headless WP Engine solution to develop those tools and host them on a subdomain. So the headless approach really helped us integrate with the required data sources easily in the back end. And we're then able to use our front end framework to simply deliver a user experience that make the tools feel like they're part of the main Volvo site. And there's both static and dynamic content in a number of these tools. And the headless approach made, I guess, it really easy to input the static content once, but also gave us a secure and reliable way to bring in the dynamic content.
So where do you think brands should put their investment in time or money to really help accelerate their digital presence?
It's a really good question, Lauren, and I think it depends on the brand. If you're an FMCG brand, for example, or a QSR restaurant, that might be in social and content. Versus if you're a bank, it's probably a lot more about payments or the online banking website. But I think if I had to summarize for most brands or take a stab for most brands, I'd say it's investing in a secure, flexible, scalable, technical architecture. It's really important to get that foundation right, and it's much easier to build upon that foundation when it is right. So once you've got the foundation right, if you want to add animation or build a new tool or service, optimize an existing experience, all of those are far easier and quicker when you've got that really strong, solid technical foundation that gives you that security, flexibility, and scalability.
I'd love to wrap up with a question that is, what what gets you up in the morning? What inspires you?
I think firstly, I love digital marketing, customer experience. I don't know what it is. It's just something I enjoy. I love the utility side in particular. How can we make people's lives easier or better? And whether that's simplifying an online process and taking it from lots of steps to less steps, or whether it's entertaining someone. I think the other part for me is the upcoming technologies and the impact they'll have on us in society and on individual websites. So things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, and in particular how we're using data to drive experiences. We've got a couple of interesting ones. Mammoth that I talked about being one of them. How do you use the data to drive the experiences? I think blockchain's another one we talk about a lot around the office, and how that technology could transform experiences and processes as it becomes a general purpose technology. And then probably the third one is all about immersive experiences. The metaverse is the buzzword. But in many ways, I think gaming's really leading the way here. And I've got a 9-year-old son who's constantly on his Xbox doing online games. But it's really interesting to see how they come to life in the metaverse. And I'm interested to see how we can take some of the cues from gaming and build them into the experiences we're building in other categories. I think live events in particular could be an exciting part of that.
James, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you,
This
Lauren.
is James Keeler, Chief Experience Officer at whiteGREY. Thank you.